Okay, I'd like to welcome everyone to tonight's meeting. It's Tuesday, June 21st, 6:30 p.m. And I welcome everybody tonight, and I'll ask if there is any disclosure of pecuniary interests.
No.
Thank you. So if you look at your agenda, number 2 is a delegation from the Near North Enviro Education Center regarding a survey in the Omaguen area. And Jocelyn Palm is on, and are you there, Jocelyn?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
You can indeed. Thank you, Jocelyn. And I've been to your center in Sunridge and used to have co-op kids at your place on your camp on Lake Bernard. So I'm well aware. So if you want to take it from there, the floor is yours.
Well, thanks very much. I really appreciate you allowing us to speak with you. The Near North Enviro Education Center is a dream established. Are you changing slides or me?
I think you are.
Okay.
Do you need a like us to share a screen, or do you all have a physical copy in front of you?
We have a physical copy in front of us.
Oh, amazing. Okay, so we'll just tell you when to flip, if that's okay.
Okay, great.
All
Yep.
right. So let's go to the first slide then. Okay, that's on. All right. So this center is a dream to bring people in rural areas the information on climate change, on the whole environmental health aspect. Somebody was talking about allergies before the meeting, and indeed those are becoming more and more frequent, etc. So the idea of this program or this center is to help us understand all those things, because when these things occur, people in rural areas get the worst deal because they're not located where much of the expertise is. And yet people in rural areas know way more about living on the earth and looking after it than people that live in cities. So we're talking about rural, and that's why we were calling this investigation Rural Keystone, because we're looking for the keys to help people who are in rural situations to meet the problems that we have. And having just survived COVID, I think we've got a perfect example of how things can go, some well, some not. We've all learned a lot, etc. So our 3 pillars of this organization are, first of all, we are worried about the environment and what that's all about. So we need to keep an environmental sustainability. That is, we have to set ourselves up on something we can sustain. So part of it, of course, involves the whole food system. The second thing is economic security, which is vital for the survival of people. And finally, social diversity. And as you know, the rural areas were not particularly up to date on the mix social divisions. So we need to understand this and what that means. So that's what the center is trying to do. So this program, and we have a number of different programs. So go to the programs. Okay, so here's what we're doing. We've got an adventure program for young people, and this will be our 6th year, and it's packed. So every day for 8 weeks in a row, With these kids come and we have a program, and a lot of it is the environment and swimming and canoeing and all the things that we love about this area of Canada. We've got a program on the Almaguan Turtle Project, is trying to deal with the fact that these turtles are all becoming extinct because they don't have a system to survive, because their eggs are either eaten or they can't get to them, etc. So there's a real issue there. So we're looking at that and addressing it. We also have a program which is the invasive species period. So they're not all reptiles, and they're not all animals, and etc. So we're doing some work on that. And then we have a garden in the area where we help people experiment with how to do that, how to grow things. Then there's a forest study going on that is in many parts of the world. We have one in this area, and it is going to tell us the effect of climate change on trees. So, there's some problems with specific trees right now. So then we have lately, and this is the exciting one, which brings me here with you tonight, which is on environmental health. That is, we are concerned that environmental health now is a big part of what people need to learn. That is, these are the things that are affecting us now, and the medical group are also working on this so that doctors get trained in environmental health. So what we're doing is trying to prepare for this. And this is what we call the rural keystone, is looking for the keys to deliver this. And this is the Almaguan edition. So it's a survey of people, and it will ask them what they think about various aspects, and they're all related to the pillars I spoke about. And we are going to survey in 24 different Almaguan places. So that's why I'm here, and we're looking for a minimum of at least sampling 5% of the population so that our survey will have some merit. This is not just some little 2-bit. This is a serious educational effort. Next. So here's the parts of the survey, and I'll quickly, the parts of the survey, and you just flip through these. So go ahead. So the first one is to get the demographics. That is, you have to learn, who am I talking to? So people will identify what their position is, et cetera, in the community. So that's the number one, the first set of questions. Then there's questions about the environment, and asking people, what do you identify as priorities? What do you know, what's happening in Nipissing in terms of the environmental concern? Are this, because some of them aren't the same throughout Almaguan, they're quite different. So the problems in Sundridge and Strong are different from the problems in Nipissing because of what the environment is. So that's the next part of the questions. And then the next ones are involved about the community. So these are, about housing and programs to this is outstanding what you've done with this school. I think are really done a great job of involving the community, and not very many people have as smart as you. So these things, we want to find out what's been identified and what's successful, or what the potential is for that. Then there's questions about education, about the accessibility of educational opportunity in your area, opportunities in the region to, as well as get opinions on not only education, but also on the workforce. So that's part. And then there's questions on food security, which everybody is talking about these days. Well, I shouldn't say everybody. There is a very big concern about food that has been going for some time, but it's building all the time. And as a person who runs a summer camp for kids, I can tell you that the comments and the whole thing, feeding them is a challenge. So food security is, we got to assess people's view of the quality and quantity of food in their area. So we're going to ask for their comments. And then the belonging to the community is a key part of all this. These questions are asking, how do you feel about your community? Or, are we working together? How do we connect with each other, et cetera? And are you happy about those connections and so on? And finally, we ask a question because everybody has different opinions, and we're giving people a time to, okay, you've got something that's on your mind, let's hear it. So that's the opportunity for people to, get upset about whatever they think are key factors. So why is NEEC doing the survey? Well, very simply, first of all, we have to better understand communities before we can be helpful. So that's why I'm asking on behalf of the Near North Enviro Education Center and our people who are working on this to understand what the situations are in Nipissing as opposed to elsewhere. We also want to create some data because, this is scientific, not just a survey, whatever, of various, so we're hoping to have, the empirical data to report, and we will use this data to help identify the local priorities and what could be done in Nipissing that might be done well in another area, but not everybody has that same setup. And the data will be available, and you can pursue specific, take it further of things that it might tell you. And so it'll be valuable as a group thing, but it'll be also valuable to you as a community, and you're the people who are leading your community. So why should you do this? Well, for one thing, it gives you information, free information about what's happening, and I'm sure you'll be interested. And we'll have a report, etc. So I think that, the opportunity is to request, you can request specialized reports or just the stuff about your community. And then it will also give you data to decide where you want to take the next part. So that's what we're asking you is to get involved, help promote the survey. There's been no work for the council particularly except to say to people, you should send in your survey, and it will all be done by on digital methods. However, we are also prepared to talk to people one-on-one or Zoom or whatever, if people who need help doing things like this. So we hope you'll promote it, etc. So that's why I'm here, and I am happy to answer questions, or the chair may want to terminate my presence, which is fine. But I thank you very much for letting us present this to you in person. Thank you.
Thank you, Jocelyn. And what we'll do, and I'm not going to terminate you, but we'll end this now, the presentation tonight. We're a little short-staffed tonight, and interesting enough, you talked about enviro and trends, because 3 of our staff here tonight aren't here because of COVID.
No kidding. Oh,
So, so what we will do is we will discuss this. It sounds like an excellent project, and I know whether we can put it on our social media or website, but we'll discuss it with them, and I'm sure we'll get back to you, but it sounds really positive, and it sounds like it has a good message for O'Maglin there. I'll just ask the counselors, do you have any questions before Jocelyn leaves us this evening?
Not really, just Jocelyn, who do you share the survey results with?
who, sorry,
Who
who?
do you share the survey results with?
Well, it will be the community that, and we'll send a report, I would think, through the council.
Okay,
And say, here's what we've got, and is there things that you want us to investigate and report to you before you share this with the community?
okay, so you'd just be sharing our information with our community.
Yes, you'll be the one that gets your information.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, counselors? Okay, well, thank you very much. Now, we will get, this will be uploaded, downloaded, whatever, to.
Right.
Okay,
You will
so,
get all the information, yes.
okay, great. Well, I'll let somebody more tech savvy than myself, which would be anybody in the room. And they'll work on that. And I look forward to filling out the survey and speaking to you in the future. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a
Thank
good
you.
evening.
Yes, you too. Thanks for contributing to your community. It's really good.
You're welcome. Thank you. Okay, counselors. And again, we'll discuss this, and excellent presentation. And I think I had no idea what it was, and
Yeah.
my eyes have been opened. So a good day when you learn something. So we'll start with staff reports, and because of COVID, we have Dan's report here, or I have it in front, and John Paul's as well. I'll just look at Dan's first. And I think, yep, I see Dan is on there, so we'll just go over it, and then if you have any questions. And with, just to bring you up to date, to show the manpower, we're still working 1 man short. We're gonna get more information on that early in July. And so we have the rest of the staff for 10-hour days, and grader, operator kind of bring it up back to get all the jobs done after they've done it and they've started. I was on Birch Grove on the weekend, and they've gone over and put all the lines on and what's under the road. And my question, I asked Dan this already, it says pipe, but that's just their culverts. It's just easier to write pipe than spray culvert across the road. So good one. And so they've been ditching, and like he says here, and next we're the start of the road. And Dan was with us at the meeting the other day, but that's going to be in Chris's report about the meeting that we had with the town of Powassan. So if there are no questions for Dan. No questions? Okay, Dan, you can go and we'll let you off the hook for now, and we'll just go to John Paul's report to council. And do you
All
have
right,
that?
well, have a good night. Thanks.
Thanks, Dan.
It's on the backside.
Okay, yeah, it's a short one. So he has pointed out that on July 12th, we'll have a committee of adjustment meeting. So we'll get that information well in advance.
That will be a long day because July 3rd, we also have the tabletop scheduled.
Okay, on the 12th? Oh,
Yes, July 12th, beginning at 3 p.m. Is that still the same, Will?
I was actually gonna ask if we could push it one meeting.
Perfect. Okay. I'm sorry. I had it in my notes here, so I just want to make sure.
It was actually on my thing on staff report to ask council to change it to August.
we love those tabletops. It's gotta be August. It's gotta be August.
Or September, whichever.
Yeah.
I wanna, sorry, let's continue. now.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So any questions for John Paul?
No.
Okay, so let's move to Chief Bateman.
Thank you. So the tabletop, yes, we did have it on for July 12th. I'm asking if we could bump it to August or September, as there's a couple things going on in July and it's the last day of soccer. If everybody's okay with that. And the reason we moved it up is just to give us a little more time to comply. In case we have any hiccups, we have a little more time to reply back. I've been working all over, so I've been working in the office, I've been working all over the last few weeks, just helping out anywhere. We've done some maintenance and stuff on pump 1 and rescue, so the annuals have been done. The communication tower is well underway, the building's up, electrical's mostly done. We're just working with hydro and to get that up. Doing a few courses online for the bylaw and the emergency management side. And we had our pump and ladder testing and no major issues. So it's been a busy few weeks and busy few weeks to come, but we'll get through it.
Will, I appreciate all your help and where you've been putting your time in different spots, and it is appreciated. We're just short right now, and with people under the weather and under the gun, Will's filled in and I do appreciate it, and I'm sure council does as well. So I'll go to Chris Crosby Hodgins.
All right. I've provided a written report that I also included in the council package that was posted online. We had a meeting that took place in Powassan as per our boundary road agreement for boundary roads and bridges. We need to have consensus when we're doing capital construction, and both municipalities take part equally in capital construction. And there is a considerable concern with the portion of Alsace Road that is shared between Highway 534 and Hummel Bridge. So it was agreed that as we haven't been able to successfully get this scheduled yet for this year, for safety and maintenance sake, we will pulverize that section and return it to gravel. And then we will work with Powassan to come to an agreement for the surface treatment project in 2023. So that should be taking place in the next few weeks. We also discussed some of the Hummel Bridge developments, and we're continuing on with our studies so that we will be ready should we be able to obtain funding. And Powassan and Nipissing have agreed that Nipissing will take the lead to prepare the briefs that go to the minister meetings when we can get a delegation at the conferences such as Good Roads or AMO, and that way both municipalities will be in the loop and be able to be present and apply for funding and hopefully obtain the funding for the proper repairs on Hummel Bridge, which will be in excess of $3 million is the way that it's estimated at this time. So it was a successful meeting. Powassan is discussing our written requests tonight at their Public Works meeting, and we anticipate hearing back from them very soon.
Does anybody have any questions for Chris about this?
So the pulverization or the grinding, that's part of capital
Yes.
project?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, and they've agreed to, they verbally agreed to investigate paying half.
So we would share that. It would be pulverized for this year. And then if we've been prepared, we're ready for it. And hopefully they're going to look at that at their Public Works meeting. And then they'll put that in the budget for next year. And then next year, we will share resurfacing that road.
Yeah, 'cause I was,
Alright.
there's gonna be have to be some dig outs to remove clay boils and rocks, and we're not just gonna put over top. of
No, I'm sure all
Dan
of
will
that will
have
have
that.
to be done.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
And we're doing
There's-
it. Yes, Tom?
So this will be, calcium will be applied then after.
I believe that when Dan and Scott Tovis were discussing the calcium application, they said they would see what came up after the pulverization to see if it was required.
See if there's still enough boily stuff in it. So,
I can't speak to the actual construction. I know that it was discussed between the two of them, and that they will come to that conclusion once we've actually pulverized and see what we end up with.
okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Are there any other questions for Chris on this particular topic?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
have you received any complaints from people up on the house about this?
Yes, we have. We've received 2 written complaints. I did respond to them with a copy of the agenda for tonight so that they could join us to hear our explanation of what is happening. Other than that, I understand there was a rather large social media presence, and there's been quite a discussion in the public, but as far as complaints coming directly to our office, there have only been the 2.
Okay. Because I saw some of the stuff that was going through on social media, and I think it would be prudent to educate people on what we're doing and why we're doing what we're doing. Just to,
Yes, once we discussed it with Powassan, and once we came to a consensus that that was the way we were going to move forward, we discussed preparing the educational information for everyone.
okay, thank you.
Good question. Any other questions for Chris? Because if not, we'll move on to committee reports. Okay, committee reports. So nothing from Councilor Moore. Councilor Kirky.
I have nothing.
Okay,
Library won't be meeting until September now, so.
perfect. Little summer hiatus. Councilor Scott.
I haven't had any meetings, but some of our rec committee got together last Sunday and we re-erected the bottle return shack. So it's back up and functioning like it's supposed to be. So fire department can have their bin back for training.
Good. Thank you for that. Working on the weekend, even better.
Yep.
That's the only time you have now that you're busy again.
Yeah.
And I had, it seems every off week, so tomorrow is East Home, as I said, at 9:30. We had a building meeting, health and safety, this is for East Home. They have to get competing quotes for a fall arrest system because they're gonna be working on the roof. And as yet, they don't have a structural platform, no quote yet. That's reviewed by SNC Lavalin. So it's not a local thing. Change orders have been taken care of and completed. And they've started in the administration area. So they've got quite a few windows put in already. And, you know, they look good. there's another 208 windows to go in. And we're just waiting for a window opening limiter on the windows, because with the Ministry of Health, those windows can only open, I believe, 4 inches. Because any more than that, somebody could fall out or get out. So they're just waiting for the opening limiters and site inspections. And so they're working around the base of the building. And as soon as that's done, we'll be able to move on. So I'm sure I'll hear more tomorrow with the Easthome meeting. So the windows are going in, they'll be lovely, and they'll be much more efficient. So hopefully bring some cost down. Let's hope so anyways. Yes. Oh, I'm sorry, Councillor Marchant, I did miss you. I'm sorry.
That's okay, that's fine. I have nothing on the PARS committee report on that, our meeting was canceled. But I do have a couple of things, information, I guess. I don't know when else to bring it up in the meeting, but September 10th for the rec committee, we would also like to hold a yard sale at Commanda in conjunction. We're hoping maybe even Trout Creek might have one, so that we can do a circular thing around the yard sales. And on September 27th, we would like to hold an all candidates forum. I'm not sure the rules on getting the information out, but I will talk to Chris one day and see about that. So September 27th, we're inviting all candidates, and it'll be the same format as last time. Each counselor would present 2 questions, and we would have a moderator. Thank you.
Great, and now, Chris, you got that? So we can look at that for September 27th?
Yes, I will work with Councillor Marchant on that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, and there, I looked around the room, but I didn't look at the TV, so my apologies.
No problem.
We have no other committee reports. We can go on to adopt the minutes of the meeting held June 7th. So I need a mover and the seconder. Okay, I'm going to go with Councillor Marchant because I could see him, and Councillor Kirky. So this is number R 2022-135. It was moved by Councillor Marchant, seconded by Councillor Kirky, that the minutes of the council meeting held June 7th, 2022 be adopted as published. All in favor? Councillor Marchant?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. I was lip reading it. Okay, 35. There we go. Okay, this comes from correspondence from the last meeting. And this was about basically educating judges to have a better understanding of domestic violence. So I need a mover and a seconder, Councillor Moore and Councillor Scott. Thank you. And I'll read it. It is number R 2022-136, moved by Councillor Moore, seconded by Councillor Scott. Whereas the town of Aurora circulated motion 10-1 regarding a private member's bill C-233, Kira's Law. Whereas the council of the township of Nipissing supports the request put forward to raise the level of education on domestic violence and coercive control for federally appointed judge. Now and therefore be it resolved that this resolution of support be circulated to MP Anthony Rhoda and to Karina Gould, MP, Minister of Families, Children and Social Development. All in favor?
Yes.
Carried, thank you. Okay. Also from the last meeting, donation to Near North Crime Stoppers mover and the seconder. Okay, Counselor Kirky and Counselor Scott. So it's number R 2022-137. Moved by Counselor Kirky, seconded by Counselor Scott, that a donation of $100 be made to Near North Crime Stoppers. All in favor?
Yes,
Thank you. Carried. Okay. Okay, the next one that I have here is a bylaw to amend bylaw number 2020-47, a procedural bylaw to update terminology and determine meeting location and to provide electronic participation live streaming guidelines for meetings. Chris was recently at AMCTO, and this was a hot topic. And there are a lot of different ideas on how we should proceed. If you listened to the news yesterday, the federal government, and we're not under the federal government, but the federal government is discussing electronic provisions for 1 more year. And then they want to go back to people in seats. This is going to be a very discussion, and what I'm asking you is to, if counselors have comments, because this is, tonight is strictly draft. If you have comments, if you could share them with Chris or share them with Chris and I, if you know that's better, simply because we're going to need to get more information and comments, and then we'll redo that. I know it's huge, it's a long thing, and it just came out, so I'll turn it over to Chris and she'll have more comments to make.
Yes, I sat in on a session at the AMCTO conference that was centered strictly on procedural bylaws. And there was a lot of discussion about going into a new year with a new council, how important it is to review the entire bylaw. There were a lot of different wordings and a lot of different ideas that were presented that I hadn't seen before. So I'm requesting that council defer this bylaw 1 more meeting to allow me to provide all of the information that I've gathered to give more decision-making power to council and to review it, to make sure we're capturing everything for the new councils.
Right, and this is a really good time. What we can do now, hopefully we'll set the groundwork for the next council, because for a lot of people, this is, going to be Greek to them. So hopefully we can do this and we'll do a good job. And to do a good job, we just need a little more time and more education. So if we can, and I will ask council, is it okay if we defer this?
Yeah, as long as we get it right, that's word as long as we.
Because I read it first, I read it once, and it's lengthy enough. And would convoluted be a fair term?
Yeah.
It's something that you would have to read almost 4 or 5 times to absorb the full scope of it, so.
We refer to it often in the office because it is a lengthy document, and trying to stick to all of the rules can be very daunting. And there is a lot of talk of making it not simpler, but more straightforward and just more user-friendly. So I'd like to see what we can work with that to bring forward for the next meeting.
So, and we will have time before the next meeting to review it. So again, we can make a educated decision. So
Yes, a full draft of any suggested changes and a report with any suggestions would be made available the week before the council meeting.
So again, if you have any comments, feel free. And again, I always like listening to your comments And feel free to send them to Chris as well, so that we will defer this to the next meeting. And I mean, if you look at mine, I was already running out of space for the different comments I had on it. So we will look at that for the next one. Okay, now, if we look at number 9, delegate authority for site plan approval. This is from the Planning Act. We have to have somebody in place to do this. And so on our staff, John Paul is the planner. So what we have to do is just approve him. So I need a mover and a seconder, Councillor Moore. And Councillor Scott, thank you. So this is R 2022-138. Moved by Councillor Moore, seconded by Councillor Scott, that we pass bylaw number 2022-34, being a bylaw to appoint an authorized person for the purposes of site plan approval under the Planning Act. Read the first, second, and third time and passed this 21st day of June 2022. All in favor?
Yes,
Thank you. Pass. I will sign that bad boy. Okay. Thank you. Read. Have I got correspondence? Okay. So correspondence, we have 4 things in here. The first, the town of East Gwillimbury, regarding implications of provincial bill 109, more homes for everyone. I glanced through part of provincial bill 109. It's a onerous task. I think right now, this is more information, because East Gwillimbury, as they point out, is the fastest growing community in Ontario. Maybe we're lucky we're not, because they're having a number of headaches, problems handling this kind of development. So as far as I look at it, it's information. And if we have any further questions, we are to contact them, and that they have sent their questions onto Carolyn Mulrooney and Premier Ford, who all might be, not Premier Ford, but everybody might be in a different position by Friday when the new cabinet is announced. So who knows? But that was that. Is there any questions about that?
I'm just curious why they didn't consult with the city of Vaughan, because a number of years ago, they were the fastest growing city in Ontario, in Canada, actually.
Yep.
And they went through some serious growing pains, and they're close.
They are. I mean, not that far away, but evidently they shared that with us. The next one, again, is strictly info from the Municipal Engineers Association. And they outlined what municipal engineers do. And I know in the past, we have had, as they point out here, small rural communities can't afford an engineer. So when it does, that's when we put out a submission for them to give us information, what they can supply to us, and then we go from there. But again, an information item discussing what they do for municipalities and how few are in the municipal arena, and mostly private, you know, because I'm sure there's probably more money there. Retirement home funding. And again, information. we have, well, in Nipissing, we have no retirement homes. We do support one long-term care home. This isn't about long-term care. This is retirement level. And- Pardon? Oh, I'm sorry. We just lost Councillor Marchant. But we still have quorum. So we will go on and see if he can reestablish his link. So
Correct.
these are just, if you have any questions or comments, again, on retirement homes. And the last one, the lengthy one, in at a glance, it's 4 pages at a glance. And this is AMCTO working on our behalf. And if you've read this, joined in several liability towards Systems and Negligence Act, and they're suggesting, welcome back. We lost you for a minute, Councillor Marchant, but you're back. Anyway, we're just looking at the municipal insurance, and AMCTO is looking at that. And I know AMO is looking at it as well, and they're all going to make recommendations to the government. And if you look at this, where, you know, in some cases, a municipality can be 1% liable and end up being 100%, paying 100% of the judgment. So that's what they're looking at. And when they come out and ask, they will come to us and ask for our support. And then I am sure we will support that, because it's the old deep pockets. And I know we were at one where they said the municipality has to pay because you can. You won't go bankrupt, where an individual could. And that's just not the right way to look at it.
No, there's a gross unfairness occurring there. Because the deepest pockets doesn't necessarily mean the greatest culpability. If you're 1% culpable, you should pay 1% of the judgment.
Exactly.
That's simple math on my part, and it's based on a moral compass.
Yep, and it's, I would suggest it's just logical. And I think they also need to bring back, until 2009, they had a different system, and they need to bring that back. And so with AMCTO, and they're giving us the issues, and eventually this will come up. I'm sure it'll come up at AMO, and then they will be looking for our support. And I am sure that we will support this. So
For sure.
yes, it's just a gross injustice, you know. But anyway, basically information. And if you have any further questions, again, AMCTO has somebody that will respond to them. But like I say, we're going to hear a lot more about this. And in the next month, our insurance will probably be in, and it will be scary, I'm sure, you know. So
Yes.
any questions about correspondence? If not, we'll have a mover and the seconder, Councillor Kirky and Councillor.
Yes.
Okay, I'll read out the motion. It's number R 2022-139, moved by Councillor Kirky, seconded by Councillor Scott, that we accept the correspondence as presented. All in favor?
Yes.
Thank you, carried. And next one, the statement of accounts. If you look at, Chris highlighted the board levies, our annual health center commitment, the calcium, and I thought I saw something else.
There's stuff on the other page.
Yes. The tax bill mailing, election supplies for forms and ballot boxes, and for 1,321. I thought we always spent 1,500. but maybe you got us a good deal. So
Sorry,
happy with that, as long as it's lovely and
it will be.
entertains everybody, I'm sure. So does anybody else have any questions about anything on the accounts?
No question, but just thank you, Chris, for highlighting those.
You're welcome. I'll try and do that in the future to make it easier.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what.
Yeah, it works really well. Mover and seconder,
Yes,
okay, Counselor Moore and Counselor Marchant. And I'll just read it out. So it's number R 2022-140, moved by Counselor Moore, seconded by Counselor Marchant, the statement of accounts dated June 9th, 17th, and 20th, 2022, totaling $262,680.72 be approved. All in favor?
yes,
Carried. Thank you. Yeah. There we go. Thank you, Will. Okay. The confirming bylaw. And now we've got all the numbers right, so we need a mover and a seconder. Before we go to that, just I want to point out, I said that we'd be going into closed session this time. We're not, there's no closed session and if you read in your procedural bylaw, it says, as more time is required to obtain information for council to review. So we'll have more information that we're going to get early in July. So I would assume, and Chris is nodding, that we will have closed session on the July meeting. So I probably misspoke and said we're going to have it when we didn't get the information we needed to have it.
There just wasn't enough to bring it forward to council for a full discussion, so it's best that we wait.
Right. So like the procedural bylaw, we'll get more information and then we'll be able to do a better job. So it's number R 2022-142. I'll move her into seconder, Councillor Kirky and Councillor Scott. So it's number 2022-142, moved by Councillor Kirky, seconded by Councillor Scott. Oh, yes, Chris?
It's 141.
No?
Oh, yeah, it is. You changed it to 141.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I misread it.
Oh, okay.
That was mine.
I was gonna say,
It's a big one there. So it's R 2022-141, moved by Councillor Kirky, seconded by Councillor Scott, that we pass the bylaw number 2022-35, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council at its meeting held on June 21st, 2022, read the first, second, and third time, and passed this 21st day of June, 2022. All in favor? Carried. Tom?
yes,
Thank you. And Chris, thanks for the checks and balances. And last but definitely not least, I need a mover and a seconder. So we have
yes,
Councillor Marchant, Councillor Moore. And it's number R 2022-142, moved by Councillor Marchant, seconded by Councillor Moore, that the meeting be adjourned at 7:24 PM. Next regular meeting to be held July 12th, 2022. I'll remind you that it'll start at 6 o'clock because there will be John Paul will have something for us that night. So to be held July 12th, 2022. All in favor?
yes.
Thank you. Carried. I thank you all for coming tonight, and we look forward to hearing from Powassan tonight, because they will have a decision on the Alsace Road, but we're ready to go. So we'll see what they come up with. Thank you all for being here tonight. I appreciate it. We're here in air-conditioned comfort. Tom, hope you feel better for the next meeting. Chris,